We have been working on various projects to improve the city of Tsukuba. What does it mean to improve a city? Our answer: to make a city where you can do what you want to do and go where you want to go to. And to make a city where you do not have to be privileged to do so. We aim to create a city where these new ways of living are accessible to everyone. We are aware that everyone has their own circumstances which make it difficult or impossible for them to do what they want to do or go where they want to go to. Under the concept of Super Science City, we will utilize science to support people to do what they want and go where they want to go in the area where they live. We would like to bend an ear and provide support for each and every one of you. We will provide support services not only in the mobility and logistics sectors, but also in the sectors of public administration, healthcare, nursing care, disaster prevention, and infrastructure. We will promote initiatives to increase your options in various aspects of everyday life. When this becomes the new everyday, the old problems will be a thing of the past. The ideal situation is where technologies become so ubiquitous, seamless, and convenient that you will not even recognize them. The road to get there is not easy. We need everyone's support to remove obstacles and create new ways of living. A city which offers new ways of living that enables you to do what you want to do without any problems and which gives you clues to solve various problems must be the city where you can explore tomorrow's world. Let us use connections to our advantage and create the future together.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tsukuba Global Science Week 2022 main session. Now, we would like to start the Tsukuba Super Science City Symposium. My name is Kenji Suzuki, a professor of robotics and artificial intelligence at the University of Tsukuba, and also advisor of the Tsukuba City, and I will be moderating today's session. Thank you. So, in the first 30 minutes of this session, the three speakers who are active in various fields will give 10 minutes talk on their current initiatives under the theme of Smart City. For the second 50 minutes, we will have a discussion with foreign residents in Tsukuba. So now, let me quickly introduce the speakers. So the first speaker is Dr. Tatsuo Igarashi, the mayor of Tsukuba City. So next speaker is Dr. Yuichi Moriguchi, the vice president of the National Institute for Environmental Studies. And also he's a professor emeritus of the University of Tokyo. And the last speaker will be Mr. Yuta Hirayama, a Smart City project lead at the World Economic Forum Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, Japan. So we will now move on the presentations. So the first, the mayor will talk about the Tsukuba Super Science City initiative. So please.
Thank you very much. As usual, the presentation by the President Nagata was very energetic in the opening session, and he was so passionate, and he was walking around on the stage. He was like a mayor. So instead, I will make a presentation like a typical university president. So at least I will stay here. So anyway, I will talk about our Super City initiative today. Next, please. So first, let me introduce some aspects of Tsukuba City. Next, please. So having a good access to the Tokyo station, which is about an hour away by train, Tsukuba is an excellent and convenient city to live and work in. So despite many cities experiencing declining birth rate and shrinking population, the population of Tsukuba City is increasing by approximately 4,000 every year, exceeding 250,000 as of June 2022. And last year, I'm very happy that Tsukuba has the highest social growth in population among general cities in Japan. And of course, one of the greatest uniqueness of Tsukuba City is that we are a global city of research and science. So we have continued to develop since Tsukuba Science City construction plan was approved by the Japanese cabinet in 1963, so it's nearly 60 years. And we are home to 150 research institutions in the public and private sectors, and 20,000 people are engaged in a wide range of research and development, of which 8,000 are PhD holders. And there are more than 11,000 people from abroad. Oh, it's very surprising. It was like 10,000 people probably a few months ago, so it's increasing. And representing 147 nationalities. So it's an academic city full of diversity. And due to this background of the city construction, I always stress the vision of our city and also our mission. What's the mission of Tsukuba? That's the question I always ask, and I think it's very simple. The mission of Tsukuba is to contribute to humankind by improving people's lives through science and technology, and to contribute to humankind. With this in mind, we are making efforts to give technology back to our society. Next, please. So, because of this nature of our city, I have set exploring tomorrow as a vision of the city since taking office as mayor of Tsukuba. And so, as President Nagata mentioned in opening remarks, the world is facing various problems such as falling birth rate and aging population, climate changes, food and agricultural issues, and of course infectious diseases. And no city yet in the world have found solutions to these issues. So that is why we as a city would like to provide clues to solve these challenges. Next, please. So now here, let me introduce some of our smart city initiatives. Next, please. Next, please. It went too far, I think. Do we have an internet voting slide? this happens. Technology. So this is a new challenge. Okay. Well, so if you find the slide, just please show. I'll start to. Okay. Well, anyway, so online voting is one of our initiatives. Like many other countries, Japan uses a paper ballot voting. So we started the testing of online voting system since 2018, so that people who cannot go to a voting place due to various circumstances such as physical work and time-related constraints can also cast their vote. So we have done the testing every year using a Japanese individual number card called My Number card, as well as blockchain technology and other technologies to verify identity and to prevent data falsification in 2021. Okay. Yeah. Actually, there was not enough information so on the slide. And in 2021, so last year, we did internet voting testing at the high school in Tsukuba City. So we did student council elections. So probably the photo above is that picture. And that was a big step forward to start online voting. Next, please. So yes, student health care in elementary and middle schools has also gone digital. So in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, student health management was done on paper. So the teachers had to check each piece of that paper at the entrance of the school, causing the area to be crowded. So therefore, we decided to collaborate with Lever, a startup company from the University of Tsukuba here, to digitalize the physical condition management through a smartphone application. And in addition, we also included a contact book or renrakucho function, so parents could use the app to make necessary communication by online. So this reduced the phone call time of school teachers drastically. And also, since we can monitor the status of individual classes and schools, we believe that in the future, we will be able to quickly detect signs of the spread of infectious diseases, not only COVID, but also influenzas and other infectious diseases. So to take prompt countermeasures. It's very useful, I think. Next, please. Another area that we are focusing on in Tsukuba is a mobility field. The photo above shows a drone flying over a residential area and making a delivery. So in Japan, drones have been used to make deliveries inside apartment buildings or in mountainous area with few people. So this was the first attempt to fly over a dense residential area under understanding of the citizens. So also the photo below shows the truck-type robot running on a public road for the first time in Japan. The robot is called Souther, and this is also from a Tsukuba-based startup company called Dog. So we believe that if this type of robot can travel freely on public roads, it will reduce the workload of the elderly and wheelchair users as they can carry heavy loads. Next, please. So yes, what I have talked about so far is still in the demonstration stage. So we have not yet achieved the level of implementation that citizens can use in their daily lives. Next, please. For example, as I told you that we did internet voting, but internet voting can be done in school student council elections, but not in actual public office elections. The reason is that the public office election law clearly states that voting must be done at a polling place where there is a witness. Personal mobility is also a focus, but it does not mean that any vehicle can run freely. For example, the road traffic law has a limit of 120 centimeters in height. So if a vehicle is equipped with sensors for safety purposes, it would exceed 120 centimeters and the vehicle would not be allowed to run on public roads. Or if we try to implement a sharing service for sit and ride mobility, we are not allowed to drive without supervision by law now. And one more thing, the photo below. In Japan, the number law strictly limits the use of number to 3 areas: tax, social security, and disaster response. So in other words, my number cannot be used in the health and welfare fields at all. Next, please. So to solve these issues, we aim to be certified as a super city. The government is promoting a special national strategic zone system called super cities, which combine the use of advanced technology with data linkage and region-specific deregulations. So we thought that this would be our solution to realize what we wanted to do. And these are the field, next please. These are the field of our super city, but it's kind of introduced in the video at the opening, so I will skip this slide. But we probably will talk about some aspects in the later discussion. So this is a service of Tsukuba Science City Initiative also called Tsukusuma application. So each citizen can register their attributes and interests in advance, and the city will deliver information accordingly via push notification in Japanese, English, Chinese, and Korean. And in the near future, we plan to add a function that allows two-way communication, such as citizens reporting road damage, so to serve as a contacting point between citizen and the government. Next, please. So, okay, this is the last slide. So I would like to mention the most important thing in promoting the Tsukuba Super Science City concept, and that is to create together. So we have been studying failed cases of smart cities a lot. And we have found that in such cases, technology comes first, or companies come first. So if you do not start from the residents, you will not be accepted by them from the beginning. So we have had a series of dialogues through town meetings, or workshops, or explanatory meetings, and we will continue to create various opportunities for dialogue to realize Tsukuba Super Science City. And this is one of the occasions, I believe. So I look forward to have some discussion later. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much. I think that everyone felt that also strong leadership of this, that the smart, to pursue the smart city. So, but for the next talk, we would like to introduce Dr. Moriguchi. So the topic is related to well-being and sustainability. So the title of his talk is Information for Better Access to Needs and Services to Enhance Well-being and Sustainability. So these environmental studies are like covering not only the environment itself, but many aspects of the smart city. So I think that Dr. Moriguchi will give a talk about wide range of the smart city. So, please.
Thank you very much, Professor Suzuki, for kind introduction. Good morning, distinguished participant on site and audience online. My name is Ichi Moriguchi from National Institute for Environmental Studies. It's my great honor and pleasure to be here as a speaker of this main session. Next, please. Let me begin with my professional and personal career as a citizen of Tsukuba, where I had lived since 40 years ago. After my graduation in the university in Kyoto, except for the 2 years commuting to Kasumigaseki Governmental Complex and 1 year and 2 months in Paris, work at OECD. I have engaged in environmental studies, including the environmental information and indicators, environmental pollution associated with transportation, material cycles, more recently disasters. I have chaired OECD's working group on environmental information, including that I have been engaged in international activities. I also served as a university professor for 10 years. After that, I came back to Nice as a vice president. And also, for a long time, I have served as chair of Tsukuba City's Council for Municipal Waste Management. Next, please. Environment. Air pollution and climate change were mentioned by a keynote speech by Professor Calvary early this morning. So, as a target of a study of environmental science, air, water, soil, and so on, these kind of natural components are main target. But environment for citizens, general public, it's a more broader sense. Here is, I showed dictionary definition. I think that the people may mind that relation with neighborhood or personal life, convenience for supermarket access, education, and so on. So when we say environment, we have to think both natural system and the socioeconomic systems. Next, please. Sustainable development goals was mentioned repeatedly by this morning's keynote speech. It consists of 17 goals, more than 100 targets and indicators for no one is left behind. 17 is too much for 10 minutes speak for me. So I would focus on goal 11 and 12 today. But in addition, I would acknowledge the importance of target 13 for climate change, action for climate change. Fortunately, this afternoon, TGSW have a special session on promoting a decarbonized society. I'm very happy with that. Next, please. Let me begin with the targets of goal 12. Sustainable consumption production, it's closely related with our convenient and wealthy, ample life. Next, please. I would pick up target 12.5 on the waste. Keyword 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle waste, repeatedly mentioned as a keyword. It's a Japanese origin. Target 12.5 mentions that substantially reduced waste generation through prevention, reduction, recycling, and the reuse. As you may know, plastic waste attract increasing attention, in particular containers and the packaging waste for foods and so on. Here is this chart is one of the recent paper with my colleague in the University of Tokyo that quantifies what kind of plastics are used for what kind of purposes. This kind of information is very important for policy decision making. Next, please. But the information is also necessary for general public. Here is a good practice of Tsukuba City. It's for better access to basic municipal service. It's a multilingual guidance how to sort and dispose of garbage, including English, Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Korean, Thai, and Vietnam. I'm sorry, not including French for Margot-san. But anyway, foreigners can understand they have to buy a designated bag to dispose vulnerable waste. Next, please. More sophisticated good example of smartphone application called 3 hours. I'm regret that not many of them you know about that. I'm not sure, ladies here knows about this application. If you don't, please install that. So it's a very good guidance to show what kind of plastic should be sorted. And in addition, they have a calendar, which day of the week, which kind of waste are collected. The good news is that from October, plastic container and packaging waste will be collected 4 times per month, almost every week, compared to twice per month before September. Thanks for Mayor. Okay, and next, please. Another topic is Goal 11 for sustainable cities and communities. Next, please. It's a bit in a lengthy, busy slide listing up the 10 targets. I would just pick up target 11.2. Next, please. This is closely related with Mayor Igarashi's speaks in video. He mentioned that do what you want to do, go where you want to go. That is closely related with the target 11.2 of SDGs 11. Promise access to accessible and sustainable transportation system for all. Indicator for target 11.2 is proportion of population that has convenient access to public transport by all. Honestly speaking, Tsukuba is much less convenient in terms of access to public transit compared to densely inhabited cities like Tokyo. But nevertheless, we have to find our own solution. Next, please. Another keyword is ESD, that stands for Environmental Sustainable Transport, that has been discussed for 2 or 3 decades by OECD and member countries, also in Asia. Japanese government hosted the Aichi conference for ESD last year and adopted the declaration with 3 strategies. I just listed up some keywords of these strategies, including digital society, improve remote access to human health education and other community services and so on. Also, it also emphasized the importance of technology like intelligent transportation systems, real-time user information, etc. Next, please. In the case of environmental sustainable transport, I think that it's a win-win situation to achieve the human well-being and sustainability in the environmental aspect. But according to a recent paper by famous environmental economist, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, sometimes multiple goals of SDGs has conflict. Typically, SDGs 12, responsible production and consumption, that is supported by ample material and energy, and that conflicts with SDGs 13, climate target. So the question is how to decouple environmental burdens from energy and material demands to meet needs and wants for well-being. My tentative answer is to enhance efficiency and sufficiency via better information and communication. Next, please. Let me introduce a concept of decoupling that was proposed by United Nations Environmental Programme's International Resource Panel, to which I served as a panelist for 9 years from its establishment. Traditionally, economic growth was almost proportional to resource use. But we have to decouple economic activity and resource use and associated environmental impacts. More importantly, we have to decouple human well-being and environmental impact. Next, please. Let me conclude with this message. A proverb says, if you run after 2 hares, you will catch neither. However, we need to accomplish multiple goals. This point was also mentioned by keynote speech early afternoon. In our 5th midterm plan of our institute, we seek for science for both global sustainability and local prosperity. Also, in the context of national environment policy, core benefit of DX, digital transformation, and GX, green transformation, is now being discussed with a keyword, digital garden city. I believe Tsukuba Super Science City could be a best candidate to realize digital garden city. I'm very much looking forward to a concrete discussion towards concrete goal, target, actions in this Tsukuba City. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
So thank you, Dr. Moriguchi. I think this sustainability environment and the Tsukuba Garden City is, I think, great impact to this Super Science City initiative. I hope that we will continue to discuss about the next topic. So next speaker is, lastly, Mr. Hirayama. We will talk about the technology and the governance issues. So a lot of the big data, AIs, so coming to the cities. At that time, Hirayama is a leading person in this field, and then to see that this global alliance of the Smart City Initiative. Today's his topic, the title is Trends in Technology Governance and the Model Policies of the G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance. So, Mr. Hirayama, please.
Thank you very much for introduction. So hi, my name is Yuta Hirayama, who is project lead at World Technical Forum Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Japan. So before my presentation, I'd like to ask you, so have you ever heard G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance before? Thank you very much. But there are so quite few people know about that, so I'm very happy to explain about what our activity is. So could you please the next slide? Yeah. So as you see, you can see that Meya Igarashi-san is center of the afterward of the photo. But so we have been working together for 3 years already. So I'm very surprised at that. But this project was started at 2019. Japan government was the G20 presidency at that time, and they wanted to put smart city as a global agenda at that time. And then we started this project. Fortunately, the next year, 2020, so Saudi Arabia moving to the G20 presidency, moving to the Saudi Arabia, but still, they put our smart city as an agenda. And sorry, next slide, please. So if you see the ministerial declaration from G20 Digital Economy Ministerial meeting, so you can see, they take note of our name. So G20 Global Smart Alliance is very supporting from the G20 meeting. So next, please. So what we discussed that is, before the pandemic, so 2019, 2020, the world is, population increasing is one of the biggest problems. And people wanted to move to the city. So urbanization is a very important issue for the cities. And at that time, they wanted to use smart technology to the cities, and they tried to manage whole the city operation. But at that time, there are so many issues there. For example, like cybersecurity issue, or privacy issue, or interoperability issue. So sometimes you can use the free Wi-Fi in the city. But if you move to the next city, maybe that free Wi-Fi cannot, connect. This is taken for granted because, each local government supporting to the, each services. But as a user, maybe, we want to connect the whole, area. So this kind of interoperability issue is very difficult to solve the problem. But like this, so there are so many issues exist. But if you're gonna be a city officers, how can you solve this problem? For example, citizens criticize the privacy issue or security issue, but how can you answer that? Actually, this is happening all over the world. So many city officers are struggling to, when they try to implement a camera or a sensor in the city, they have to face, such kind of the technology governance issues. And actually, they have to study by themselves. But for example, in Japan, we have more than 1,700 cities exist, and each city officer study by themselves. Is it efficient or is it smart? So that, what we want to solve that. So we try to make the hub of the information, and we provide the model policies or like best practices, and then the city officers can study each other and share the best practice. So that kind of the platform is needed. So our mandate is bring together global stakeholders to establish a set of global norms for the ethical, responsible use of smart technology in cities. So that is what we wanted. Next, please. Next slide, please, Tori. Okay, maybe the computer has sometimes stopped. So how to proceed to our project? So at first, we set our global norms. We put the 5 basic, and second is security and resilience, and third is privacy and transparency, and fourth is openness and interoperability, and the last one is operational and financial sustainability. So this kind of the basic 5 principle is very important for the ethical responsible use of technology. And after that, next please, we gather the smart technologies experts network. So there are so many experts over there. Please, one more, next slide, sorry. So there are so many, like not only the academia, but like private sector and city officers and policy makers, and we gather one place, and then we discuss what is the minimum requirement for smart cities, or what is the most prioritized, policy city should implement that. And we discussed a lot. And then 2021, we launched a few model policies over there. And next, please. Please, next. Okay, and so one is open data policy, and second is, security, not security policy, sorry. I forgot the name, sorry. But, so the accountability, so the policy. But anyway, one of the important, policy is the privacy impact assessment policy, and this is kind of, succeed for, implement our, project, because, before the selecting super city, the cabinet office is discussing about how to, proceeding to the, privacy issue, how to solve the privacy issue before the, smart technology implement. And then they introduce our model policy to the cities. So I think that is very good, we have that. And so you can see the Kelsey over there, but she is one of the key kind of the task force member of our project. And she developed the model policy this. And another, people is, Michael is from the former Seattle City CTO, and now he is director of the Microsoft. But such kind of the experts are developing the our privacy impact assessment model policy, and then we are, how can I say, introducing our model policy to the cities. Next, please. So like this kind of the activity, last year we got the Digital and Economy Award at Smart City Expo. So we are kind of, strong reputation globally already. But as you see, maybe many of you don't know our project. So this is because maybe no media interviewed to me, and this kind of the situation is taken for granted. But this is the situation here. And next, please. However, our project is not just producing like model policies, but more important thing is how to implement our model policy to the cities. And then now we are focusing on to launch the regional alliance. So Japan, we already have 27 cities regional network, but now we already opened the Latin America's community and India community, and now we are trying to launching the new regional alliance in Southeast Asia. Next, please. Yeah. So regional alliance is supporting to how to implement the model policy to the local cities. For example, we are working with Tsukuba City about how to implement the privacy impact assessment policy to the cities. And like that, so we have many workshops. And for example, last spring, Mayor Igarashi came to our event, and he explained about what the Super Cities project is. And so like this, we are strongly working with communicate to each cities. And next, please. Yeah, so this is a timeline. I mean, so near future, we will expanding this project, but like Tsukuba Science Week is end of September, but end of this week, we will have the Global Science Alliance Japan Summit in our office, and like this, so we are trying to communicate with each cities, and I hope, I believe, so working, our collaboration will definitely support the ethical, responsible use of smart technology in Tsukuba cities, and this will help to the citizens, understanding. So, yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Hirayama. So we have this Super City Initiative, environmental studies, and also the Global Alliance and the privacy policies. So many topics, but I think based on those presentations, I would like to move to the panel discussion. So could you please let the speakers come on the stage, and also panelists, also we would like to introduce 4 panelists on the stage, please. So I would like to start that. So the panelists are, everyone are ready? Okay. So firstly, I will introduce the participant from the panel discussion. The first one is Miss Shani Crawford, a principal of Tsukuba International School. And next is Dr. Jitapon Sengel, a postdoctoral researcher at National Institute for Material Sciences. And third one is Dr. Eleuda Nunes, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Tsukuba. And last is Miss Margot Lafitte, the PhD student at the University of Tsukuba. So before starting panel sessions, and then how was that there was 3 speakers talk? Did you like it? Did you understood it? Any comments and questions are welcome, if any.
Do you want to say something? Okay.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Before this session, I watched Mr. Igarashi's video about this topic, and I really love living in Scuba, and I like to see Scuba making leaps forward and using research and the power of the people in Scuba to make these leaps forward.
So I think that the good starting to begin with, that I would like to ask each of you, like these services that would be nice to have in the daily life. Of course, the global vision, global alliance are very important, but also this is actually the collection of services in the local community. So, Ms. Crawford, like compared to overseas cities, do you have some new service or some services in mind?
So I've actually lived in Japan for half of my life, and I'll tell you'll end up knowing my age, but for more than 25 years. So actually, I'm from Canada originally, but my adult life has been entirely in Japan. After graduating from university, I came to Japan. So my experience of living in Japan, or my experience of living in Canada as an adult is quite limited. However, what I can say is that in Canada, we don't have as much of a sense of the city hall running the city. We don't have as much of a sense of, like even where is the city hall? Some people don't know because it doesn't play such a central role in the city, whereas it's very, very clear in Japan, the machi-yakuba or the shiyakusho is very much the central part of the city. So that's a big difference that I noticed when I first came to Japan. And so, like I said, I've been in Japan for a long time, but some things that I have noticed in these years, first of all, I, as a foreigner, find it hard to write my own address. I am a university-educated person, but it's hard to write the kanji. And also, I hate writing my address out 50 million times, like on every single form, every single time. And in Canada, back in 1995, when I first came to Japan, we didn't do that. They would be able to print out a form, and you just sign the bottom of it, to say, yes, this is me, and I don't remember writing my address in Canada. So something as simple as that for a foreign person, it can be hard to write out. And especially when I first came to Japan, I lived in Fukushima, and my address was, Fukushima Ken, Minami-Aizu-gun, Nantoka Machi, Nantoka Aza, Nantoka, and so there's so many kanji, and I just arrived, and I have to write that out every time I go to the doctor. So that was, or to the city hall or whatever. So that was one point. And the other thing was just being able to pay by debit card. This is a huge, huge thing. I could do this in 1995 in Canada, and it still is not available in Japan. And this is a huge issue for foreign students who come here and don't have credit cards and somehow have to carry a whole bunch of cash around all the time. But the ATMs are closed all the time, and this kind of issue is something that I noticed back in 1995 and still hasn't really been solved. And then in terms of the future, what I would love to see, speaking to Dr. Moriguchi's presentation regarding waste management, I really find it hard to sort my garbage sometimes, but I want to do it properly. I've been living in Japan for a long time, and I understand why. I've been to the clean center many times, and I want to do it properly, but sometimes I have a brown bottle that has a plastic thing on top that I can't remove. What do I do with this? I don't know. And so I would love it if the city could develop a kind of AI interactive thing where I could send a picture and you can tell me how to throw this thing out, for example. This kind of using AI or using chat or something like that to get information about how I can do better as a citizen in Scuba.
Well, thank you very much. I think 3 important topics. So I think Dr. Moriguchi would like to mention something about this new AI waste management systems. Good suggestions by the Crawford sensei.
Okay, I'm not sure if the officers in Tsukuba, the city municipal government, could immediately react to that idea. But I think that improving the municipal service for everybody's everyday life, that's a very good entrance to this kind of activities for smart and super cities. So the waste management, sorting is even difficult for Japanese. Not necessarily language problem, but so it's a bit good, maybe a good idea, not only for foreigners, but for Japanese citizens. I agree with the idea, so it's a very good idea. So I hope that in next council I may propose that kind of idea. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Also, addresses are also very interesting ideas, because for the past years, when I first time to be in the United States, the 2 English digit code, CA, is California, I didn't understand at all why I needed to put the CA. So it is the same in Japan too. Thank you very much. In the digital era, we have many IDs and code, so we can overcome such kind of burdens. Thank you. Then, so let's move to the next, Dr. Sengyo. You have some in mind?
Yes. So I'm from Thailand, and now I work as NIMS. I live in Japan around 4 years, and first I studied PhD at the Orchard City. When I moved to here, it's like so surprised because the city will fairly with the foreigner because in the city hall has to provide with many language and so convenience. Yeah, and so like feel happy and feel convenient to live here. And the Bangkok, I am from Bangkok. That so far we have the platforms online service for reporting the problem. So I would like Tsukuba City provide the platforms online service for receiving our problems. Because some the problem is a little things, but it's like I cannot tell the police and so on. For example, reporting about the dark areas or the broken roads or the some area, our staff was stolen. I hope that the city will receive the information directly and that they can fix it like suddenly and faster than the paperwork, and that the user or the people can know these problems can fix or not or the how situations. For my experience, that my light of bicycle was stolen 2 times in the same area. And the last week, I think it's just a little thing, so I did not tell the police. But the little things can become big problems, right? So I just can tell friends that you have to be careful around this area when you park your bike, and you to be careful. And so I think I just can do only this. And I would like to the some service to know how our situation, this area has some of the problems, and so on. Maybe this service can help the city to manage city easier and that the people feel more safe.
Well, thank you. I think that Mayor Igarashi, this is exactly what we are trying to provide this smart city initiative. So I hope that we can reach the level of that your expectation and beyond your expectations. So thank you. And then so next is Dr. Nunes. So could you please what do you think about the new services in daily life?
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Eleuda and I'm from Venezuela, but I have been living in Scuba for 10 years already. So I have been thinking a lot what to bring to the table today, what could be, what do I think we need here? And it's a little bit personal, but I think it's very important for us foreigners here living in Scuba. So these are my notes. So I think a considerable amount of international students that are invited to Japan, at some point after finishing their studies, they leave. After graduation. Even if they get a job, they at some point leave. And I think that's very wasteful. I think I've been thinking what is the issue, but in my opinion, one of the biggest factors here is the difficulty to bring and integrate our families into this society. For us who study or work here, we get a lot of support from the university and from our colleagues and staff and everyone, in my case, in the university. But for my family or for people I know, the families, it's not the case. They don't really know, besides us, the direct support, where to go or where to get some help to go outside and live their daily life. And I think that's one of the main factors here. I wanted to bring a comparison, but I cannot compare with my own country, sadly. It's not a good example of what a smart city should be. But for instance, in European countries where migration policies are a great challenge, they spend a considerable effort in designing migration management strategies, and among them language, social cohesion, and citizenship, like bringing them into a kind of a useful element into the society, which I feel like is what they feel. The lack of being useful in this place is one of the big factors. So what can we do, for example? I think, yes, we need to give them some tools to achieve this little bit of independence. I think Japanese language is not the only barrier, but also the system itself is overwhelming and so unfamiliar, which is totally understandable. But we can do something. I think it's possible to create some scenarios where they can actually interact with Japanese citizens, which I believe in Tsukuba is especially welcoming and open For them, many citizens, Japanese citizens here can even speak more than Japanese language. They can actually provide some support. But not only that, I mean, if we are talking about technological solutions, we can think about AI-supported chatbots, for example, or even just provide them a line that they can just by themselves be independent and live in Tsukuba City, for example, in this case. And yeah, I believe it's like putting just some effort will just set an example in Japan of what we can achieve to bring like more, in this case, foreign citizens, foreign people, and live comfortable and happy here. And yeah, that's my comment.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is true. I faced also as a professor, they meet many times the parents of the foreign students. And then to not even think about that, to accommodate them at Tsukuba, it is also very important insight. And in the Smart City initiative, of course, we will try to make this multilingual support agent and AIs. So Igarashi, the mayor, you have some comment on this multilingual support?
That's always a big issue for us as well. Yeah, we are promoting that. Well, we are international city, but the result is, as you mentioned, we are not really, reached to the stage where everyone really can live without any problem. So, as Professor Suzuki mentioned, we are promoting this new application to, push notice, but it's not that probably enough. So, probably as a city, we need to be more inclusive, it's more diverse. So, that's why I set up a new division in the city hall. The name is International City Promoting Office or something like that. So we are trying. So yeah, please, let us know more and more.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And it is very important because smart city always discussed about that, of course, mobility or technology. But starting from Tsukuba, this super city, we faced what's the problem solved. So we already put that in a sentence, this lack of diversity. We are not able to enough to react with this kind of diversity. We clearly mentioned on that. So to overcome this issue is right now the mission of super cities. So lastly, Ms. Lafitte, you have the services or problems or thinking in mind?
Yes, thank you. Yes, there are a few points I'd like to tackle. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm still a student and I arrived in Japan in December 2020. So it's been less than 2 years, and the integrity of my experience here has been in a global pandemic. So I might be a bit biased. But yeah, there are a few points that I think should be discussed. First of all, yes, I'd like to come back to what Dr. Crowley said about how difficult it is for foreign students to get a credit card, actually, which was an unexpected struggle. I think that's what most of us do, from what I heard. It's we have to apply for an Amazon credit card. that's the technique we do, and I think maybe there are things to do with banks directly here in a way that it is easier for us to get one. And one of the main things, almost a struggle I faced here, was actually going to the doctor. To mention a short episode, just a few weeks after coming to Japan, I woke up one day and I had fever. And I was like, oh no, what is it? Is it COVID? And I realized that I didn't know what to do, where to look for, who to call. So I tried to look it online, but there were many things, and most of them in Japanese. So it was a bit confusing, and I had to ask for the help of Japanese people to make an appointment to the doctor for me. So I think some kind of centralized medical appointment booking service or platforms could help a lot of foreigners. To talk about my own experience, I'm French, and in France we had such a platform which is called Doctolib, which started first as a local initiative in Paris and which is now nationwide. Really, everyone uses it in France. It's basically a medical appointment booking service. It's really easy to use. You just type what you're looking for. Would that be a dentist, a general doctor, a psychologist, or even blood tests? And you can find really easily a list of partners, clinics, and doctors, and you can see directly the availabilities around you. So it is extremely useful. It was all the more useful during this whole COVID situation. We had a lot of lockdowns and many things were complicated, but because of that, it was really easy. In 30 seconds, we could find vaccination centers around us. We could book an appointment to have a PCR test. So I think this kind of service will help here in Tsukuba, and also because it's online, the language barrier is not so much of a barrier anymore, because now we have a great automatic translation tools. And I heard that such apps kind of exist already in Japan. I'm thinking of one which is called Ambi, I believe. But I feel like not so many people know about it. It's a great service, but it's not, yes, I don't know how to say it, but people don't know about it and don't know how to use it, how they can use it. So I think that Tsukuba had a great of initiatives, but it is also important to make them available and accessible to everyone and to advertise it so that, yes, everyone can access it easily.
Well, thank you. So you pointed the two parts, and the financial part, and also hospitals and medicines part. Yes, AMBIs are also our partners, that the companies, we are talking about that, how to implement that. But I think that Mr. Hirayama, for example, you saw many smart cities. So this kind of the debit card finance issues, and also the hospitals networks will be, I think, hot topics in all over the world. Any comments?
Yes, so actually in US, there are so many, now it's very popular about, how to say, kind of the,
telemedicine?
Telemedicine or such kind of, but in Japan, it's not work. So I think that is one of the space to, increasing our, and the credit card issue. These days, the professor mentioned that debit card is, it's not a credit. So I think, the card company or bank can easy to issue the debit card. The debit card can, almost use like Visa or Mastercard, or JCB's, brand card is also issued. So maybe that is more easier to, use that. And maybe the QR code, payment service is also more easier to use. So I think that can support.
Yeah, thank you. I think that these kind of topics, the information gathering and collecting, how to also use that is almost a common topic. So we would like to move to this topic more specifically, like administration, city administration and citizens. It's like that the mayor's presentations earlier, as I mentioned in that, because Tsukuba is trying to develop the new smart city smart app. The Tsukuba Tsukusuma is a city app. We understand that this is just started. It's a kind of baby. Its contents are very limited, but it is the truth because still a lot of room of improvement. And this one is multilingual, that the environment we try to manage, and the mobility, medical networks, and also governmental the procedures and administrations. So if you use it, please tell us what you think of it, and if it is not, how do you think the information about the city from? What kind of information you want, or what kind of things you would like to do this kind of city official app? So I think the inverse order, Miss Margot again, Rafit, please.
So yeah, about the Tsukusuma app, I didn't heard about it before preparing for this talk, but it's quite new, if I understood correctly as well. But I did download it, and yeah, I think, I received a couple of push notifications with about what is happening in the city, some kind of events, which I think students and younger people in general are more interested in events than other topics. So I have just had briefly used it, but I think it is useful. Again, it is important to make it, to advertise it to people, because I'm pretty sure not so many people know about it. Yes, if after, now it's just, we receive things from the app. If in the future, I believe it was mentioned that it would implement a way to like do the opposite, to input things inside the app, I think it could really help as well some administrative procedures to do online. Yeah, about administrative procedures, I think something very scary for a lot of foreign residents or official things like taxes, which quite can seem a bit complicated and scary. And if there was a way to do it fully online, honestly, I think it would be great. I think like part of it is already online. I believe we can do like income taxes. We can pay directly on smartphone using a My Number card, if I'm not mistaken, which is great. And I think it should be this should be encouraged and applied to even more things. And if it could help to also avoid going to Kombini or to ATM to pay for things, I think that would help a lot of people, foreigners, but also people with reduced mobility as well. And yes, again, making it accessible to everyone, that everyone knows about it, which is, I think, important issues, and to kind of centralized thing to make it easy to find. And yes, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, okay. So I think we will collect the answers for panelists. And then what about the Dr. Nunes? Do you have some in mind?
Yes, I mean, same as Margot, I didn't know about Tsukuba before we had the meeting for preparing for this discussion. So I downloaded and I tried to go around it. And I think it's a very, very nice attempt to bring more information to not only foreign people, but in general citizens. What I feel like it will be very nice aspect is to kind of, yes, events, but not, let's call it social events, but events where people can just just get together. I think Tsukuba has a lot of open spaces, a lot of green spaces that most of them are unused. I think it will be nice. I like to see more action, like let's say, like let's get together and do some yoga classes outside. Or I think it's nice while we get promote well-being. Also, we get connections, and I think that is lacking a little bit, in my opinion. And Tsukuba could actually be used to exploit that aspect. Regarding administrative procedures, which we all struggle with, yeah, it was just a personal experience. The first time I got letters from City Hall saying it has the in English only important, but the rest was in Japanese, and I was like, what? So I always run to the laboratory and ask for help for the Japanese students to help me to understand what's going on. Now I'm happy, and these days, that was some years ago, that we actually get some English information. Recently, I went to do the My Number card application, and actually I got information in English. The only drawback, I think, is it was paper. So I think all those management, all this information can be online. So I don't need to keep it. For example, I have a drawer in my home with all the papers that I think are important, that I might need in the future. I think we can just get rid of all of that and try to put everything already available in this Tsukuba application. That, I think, will be a nice addition. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. And so next, what is the Dr. Sangyo?
Yeah, that is sense. I did not heard before about these applications, but I tried it before. When I received the information or model information from I live in Inomiya house, and that I got information from them. However, but some information from the Thai people who expressed about the Japanese language and like a translate from their page or so on. I would like and use these applications to Tsukuba. I need this application has like interactions. It seems like do this application is just give only informations. I need to do some interaction to contact with the user also. For example, that I mentioned in the first for the platform online service for reporting the problems, or when I would like to contact the city halls or the hospital for the appointments for the contact, I need to can appointments and can contact also, because it's the convenience with the many language, and that will be better than like go to directly to face. And I would like to have some the procedure for the friends. It's like got sick and he don't know how to the process to go to hospitals, and I would like to give them more informations and like to contact. It's like a QR code for the clinic or the hospitals. Yes, and that for bus also, because in the bus schedule is Japanese, and Google Map is still Japanese, so we have like inconvenient. If they're possible to get the information about the schedule with the English also, or so on about the other language, and yes, it will be more convenient.
Okay, so last one, Miss Crawford, please.
Sure. So I may be the only one, but I use Scuba. I love it. I've been using it, I think, since it was launched. I really pay attention to. I try to pay attention to the information that the city puts out, as my role in my school. Anyway, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's an excellent effort by the city. I think that I would just like to be able to make it a little bit more accessible. And I think by making it more accessible for foreigners, it maybe makes it accessible to everybody. One thing, you can't copy the text, so you can't grab it and put it into some other translation software. So it means, fine if you speak English or Chinese or whatever other languages it's available in, it's fine. But if you can't speak those languages, you can't grab that text and put it into some other translation software. Also, links don't work in it. So, for example, it'll say like go and look at the PDF or whatever. And if it says there's a link that says like learn more, that link works. But if there's any other link in the post, those links don't work. So you have to, but you can't copy those links. So you can't get to that without like literally writing it down somewhere or something like that. So it's a little bit inconvenient to use in that respect. And regarding PDFs, things like Kawaraban is also advertised through there. And Kawaraban itself is only available in Japanese, and it's only available as a PDF. But I read Kawaraban, and it's fantastic. It gives a lot of really good information and really good background information to our city that can really help everyone understand the topics about our city in depth. And if that was available in plain text format, people can grab that text and put it into translation software in any language. It used to be that translation software was terrible with Japanese. It used to be, I used to work as a translator at the National Institute for Environmental Studies. and at that time I thought to myself, well, they will never develop a translation software that's good enough to handle Japanese. But I was wrong, and they definitely do have good enough software now. So I highly recommend that these things be available to be copied, to be shared, so that there's a link in there so I can share that information with my friends, and to be able to be grabbed and thrown into software so I can translate it into other languages.
Well, thank you on the very important suggestions. So we have, even multilinguals are limited, of course, that we can provide some limited language, but by using other software, we have more than 200 of the languages we can translate it. So I think this is the great feedback from citizens and the international peoples. So the Mayor Igarashi, what is the first comment to the impression to Tsukusuma?
Yeah, we need to improve a lot. I didn't even realize that we cannot really copy and paste. So I'll just tell the developer just after this session. And yeah, we are trying to improve quite a lot, but it's just the beginning. So, but this is not my excuse. So we would like to link to like online medical care system, or we would like to add payment system, or we could link to the payment system, or we can like link to the reservation system for vaccine or something like that. So that's something we need to do. And also, as you mentioned, we would like, I mean, we are just now giving information, like, okay, this kind of event will be held here. So it can be more sophisticated. So your location and event information can be linked more smoothly. Then you can just pop in to that yoga event or whatever. So there are so many spaces to improve. So thank you very much. And I will ask, my staff, and they may be a bit, new work. But anyway, we have to do it to be inclusive city.
Yeah, and also that I think there are two topics. So one is that the connection to other services, like the health service and also mobility too. So Dr. Moriguchi, because you also proposed that this garbage collection Tsukusum app, not yet available, but we work on that. Then, so if you have some good, like that example of this kind of mobility and the smart app are widely available in the worldwide right now, do you have some comment on this?
Okay, in terms of mobility, I had a chance to visit many cities in Europe and so on. So maybe in the case of Tokyo, it's too convenient. We don't have to have information because the subways comes every 2 or 3 minutes. We don't have to know what time it's coming. But in many cases, as you know, the cities in Europe, they have a very good information, which trains coming in how many minutes and so on. Of course, some of the cities in Japan, like Kyoto, that is many tourists. So, but the case is that in Kyoto's case, that is operated by the city itself. But the difficulty in Tsukuba is bus operator is a private company. So how to collaborate with the owner of the transportation service, like Kanto Tetsudo or Tsukuba Express. That is another challenge, but we have to solve that. And also in Japanese case, many different private train companies or the JR operates. But in some of the cities like Karlsruhe in Germany, they have very good connection with inner city travel and also the intercity travels. So we can learn a lot in terms of the public transportation system from Europe. Of course, some of the train system in Japan we learned from Europe. So also the inner city issues, we have to learn the experience in worldwide. Thank you.
Actually, we are talking with Kanto Tetsudo about their location system. So we want to add bus location system of Kanto Tetsudo into Tsukusuma. So you can just follow where the bus is and that kind of. So probably next year. So please be patient.
Yeah, actually, I feel very sorry for that because I thought about that because bus comes only 1 or twice per hour. TX is coming also every 20 minutes. So I think even by manually we can do that, not complicated. But this is long because in Tokyo, every 5 minutes is coming, so we don't need more information. But here, if you miss one train, you need to wait 25 minutes. That's why those kind of systems are needed. I really understood about that. Thank you very much. So the last point is actually, you said that many of you, because you want to have the information which is suitable for you. It's that occasionally and situationally, but at that time, sometimes you need to give that the personal information, what's your age, what's that your genders. So Hirayama-san, this kind of smartphone is coming to the personal issues, and then this is exactly what you're thinking about, this privacy impact. So with Scuba, you have some comment on this, please?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question, but yes, so the personalized services is one of the big good topic in the globally. And however, I'm not sure. For example, like Estonia, they are very, strong, digital ID they already issued, and so such kind of the, country or area, they can more advance to the personalized services. But in another area, I'm not sure. It's not such a progress about such kind of the partner, problem. So privacy is very important. So if the citizens believe the government, they can provide such information to the government, but that is very strictly systems is secured, and such kind of the system is very difficult to developed. So I believe Tsukuba City is a super city, so one of the most advanced city in Japan. So I believe they will develop such kind of the system in the near future. But still, we have many discussion to the citizens. So.
Yeah, actually, we definitely should care about that. That's why Hirayama-san is also the partner of our city to take care of those important issues. So I think that almost the end of this panel discussion, even that lastly, if you'd like to have in mind new services, one day you want to make a startup in Japan, then these kind of entrepreneurship issues are also some of burden for foreigners. Then this is also related to Smart City Initiative. We are planning to implement some measures to facilitate foreign individuals to start their own businesses in Japan. So, Ms. Crawford and Dr. Sengel, could you please share your experiences on how the difficulty or how bottleneck about these kind of issues? So, Mr. Crawford, please.
When you start a company in Japan or run a company in Japan, my school is technically a company, one of the hardest things is figuring out all the laws that apply and which ones apply. So, my school is run by a gakko hojin, which is different from, but it's a specific kind of gakko hojin, kakushu gakko, not senshu gakko. And, so you can look at the law, but the law doesn't apply exactly to us in this case, but it does in this case. And so at the city level or at the prefectural level or at the national level, what does that mean? And you constantly have to consult with very expensive experts to find out the answers to those questions. And so I think that is a big barrier to starting up a company in Japan, especially because most of the laws are only available in Japanese, or if they've been translated, the translation is from 2019 or 2013, and the latest law is 2020 or something like that. So I think that's one of the biggest barriers. So language and just the very complicated laws that sometimes apply and sometimes don't apply.
Wow, yes, this is the first is law issues. And Dr. Sengels, you have some?
Yes, although I'm a researcher, but interested in the business also. So I have changed to talk with the fortunate friends who live in Japan and do the business. So the first barrier is the language. Because of almost of the document is Japanese, and the documents of the business is so specific. And then we will do a startup. We have no idea who can consult with the visa, investments, credit, or the certificates, especially about the international law to the export or the import, ingredients, or the product. So when we would like to do a Thai cafe, and we need the unique of the cafe is authentic. So we should to import the ingredients and the product from Thailand, and we should to get the certificates of the import of the product. But we have no idea who can consult with these situations. So we would like the city to support about us to the consultants with the this situation with the many language also, it will make the way us to do the business going well. And I hope that the city have like some promotes of the business in the city also. It's like a TV programs or for the internet, for the applications. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think that the audience understood about that. Even for the Japanese to start the company is challenging, but also the foreigners and many people also having the same spirit to make that. And the Tsukuba is trying to promote this too, not just promotion, making some of that the startup that not only the cafe, but more these consultations. And then we thought about that is also we need to make it multilingual platforms. Then I hope that if you have some good services in mind, would like to implement into the city, and let's together to do that. This kind of entrepreneurship is very important. So I think that the time passed very soon, and then today's the panel discussions. And the last remarks are, because I really felt that today, these kind of topics are almost related to these diversity issues and the inclusion issues, equality issues, and justice issues. And those are main core of these smart cities. So smart city is, of course, the efficiency. Smart city is, of course, the good new service and technology. But as the mayor mentioned that it's not like technology driven, more like the problem solution driven. And even if a few steps, because these things is not just like that if we have some mind we can do that. We need technologies, translation technologies, automatic connection technologies, voting security, cyber security technologies. But technology itself is advanced, but we need to show that at the Tsukuba how it can be implemented in a city for the well-being and the sustainability as a citizen's viewpoint. And then actually I would like to thank you all the panelists. And then this closing remarks, we would like to have the comment from that Mayor Igarashi as the closing remarks of this panel session.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your comments, and they were so useful. And I felt, so kind of sorry. We are not super city at all. we have been trying to solve many issues, but my impression today is that we really need to face with language barrier more seriously, and we are just satisfied to give information in English, like on home pages, but it's not enough at all. And I was kind of shocked that kind of basic information are not really shared among you foreign nationals. And for example, we have like startup promotion office in City Hall, and we have startup park near the Tsukuba station, but probably the information is not really shared. So we really need to rethink our approach. And we are on the way, but there are so many things to do. So yeah, I will work harder. That's my conclusion. Thank you very much, Suzuki Sensei, for wonderful moderation. Thank you very much. Oh.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, can I just say one thing? I think that the technology is very, very important, and I think that Scuba is doing a great job in that regard. My one point that I would like to say is that there needs to be more of a voice of the foreigners in the city. So for example, I know that, or I'm pretty sure that at the City Hall, like, you can't work in a permanent position unless you are Japanese, unless you have a Japanese passport. which means that there is no possibility for somebody, for example, like me, and by the way, I'm not trying to quit my job and work for the city, but there's no way for somebody, for example, like me, who's lived in Japan for 25 years, who speaks Japanese, who loves scuba, who wants to promote information in scuba, wants to help, has tons of ideas. I can't work at the right level in the city hall to make those kinds of changes. And this is an issue of diversity, inclusion, equity, and justice, DEIJ, that I think the city really needs to grapple with. And if the city is able to get the super city designation, which will decrease some of the issues that prevent us from doing the things that we want to do, like you said, doing the things that we want to do, going the places we want to go, that is one big one that I think needs to change in order for the voice of the foreigners to get into the system of the city. That's all.
Yeah, I'll talk to the legal division about hiring foreign nationals soon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. Also, many opinions and comment. We seriously accept that and try to solve that together. As today's plenary session, the smart city as a process. And then we applied Super City last year to the government because we were willing to be Super City. But as Mayor Igarashi said that, we understand still Tsukuba is not a super city yet, but still willing to be. And today I hope that it is a great opportunity for us to share that the opinions and problems and ideas. And we hope to be seeing in the future really the one day to be a super city at the Tsukuba. So thank you very much for all the speakers, and thank you very much for the audience, and we would like to give big hand clap to them. Thank you very much. So session is now over, and thank you very much for the coming, and let's have a great lunch, please.
Hi, again, thank you very much for